Today we're going to be recreating a version of this bracelet seen here. We're going to be using silver colored copper wire, 18 gauge and 26 gauge for weave, as well as the regular jeweler's tools. And we're going to be using chipped gemstone beads. And I think I'm going to do a mix of tiger's eye and blue aventurine. I think that'll look nice with the gold. And I might also incorporate some gold colored beads. I think I'm going to start by cutting the 18 gauge wire. So I have a 7-inch wrist. So I generally, as a rule of thumb, I would cut 7 inches times 2, which is double the size of my wrist, and then add an additional 2 inches. So instead of 14 inches, I would cut 16 inches. So let's start by cutting 16 inches of wire. Next, I'll bend the wire in half completely. And to get this shape here, I use my flat nose pliers to bend the wire right there. Next, I'm threading the beads onto the 26 gauge wire, and this is the pattern that I'm using: blue, and then the gold color beads, and then the tiger's eye, then the gold color beads and the blue, and then just repeat that over and over and over until I fill up the wire the length of this wire. Now that I've finished putting all my stones and beads onto the wire, I cut it off the spool. I left about 2.5 to 3 inches on either side. I'm gonna go take that wire and just wrap it around one of these sides here 3 times. Just to get it started. And then have that in the middle there, and then I will take more of the wire and just wrap it around each. And I left exactly 1 inch free space right here. And I'm going to do the same for the other side. Leave 1 inch free space. And here's the other end. And I'm leaving the tail. I'm not going to cut this right yet. So now I take the 26 gauge wire again. I'm going to leave it on the spool because I don't like to cut wire not knowing how much I'm going to need, because I might cut not enough. So I'm going to start right here at one side here, bend the wire and just wrap it around there, and then I'm basically gonna go through and wrap each of the chipped beads. I recommend using 16 gauge wire for this bracelet, but for the sake of the video, I'm using 18 gauge. And this is not a piece that I'm going to sell. I'm going to wear it myself. So that's why 18 gauge, but I would recommend 16 gauge because it will be more substantial, you know, more sturdy for you or your customers or whomever you're making it for, if you decide to make it. So just keep going down the end. Once you get to the end, go ahead and wrap it around one of the wires 2 or 3 times just to finish it off there. So you can snip it. I'm just going to clip that piece off and press it flat. Pretty thin wire, I can flatten it with my nail, but you can use the pliers if you need to. All right, so far that's what we have. Now that I've gotten to the end here, I still have this tail. I think I'm going to need it, but not sure yet. But anyway, I need to go ahead and form the shape of a bracelet. I don't have a bracelet mandrel. I'm going to use this candle. It's round enough, I think. So I'll just bend the bracelet around there, all the way around to get the shape I need. So the ends here, I'm going to take just like I used the flat nose pliers for that end, I want to do the same for this end. This is fairly new to me, but in concept, it should work. So basically, I'll take pliers and come right here, about 1 centimeter from the bead, go there, and then I'm going to bend that wire over like that on top of it. Okay, and then do the other side, bend that wire over on top of the pliers like that to make them crisscross. And there we go, like that. And then I'll take a piece of this wire here and I'll wrap it around the center there to hold it in place. So let's go ahead and do that. Actually, I can go ahead and trim this off because looks like I'm not going to need it down here. Trim this right here. All right, and I'll grab another piece of wire here. Not going to measure it. I'm just going to cut about 2 inches off. 3 inches. Just to be on the safe side. And then just put it through the middle there. And just bend the wire in half right there. And then I'm going to hold it and just bend one side around to the left and one side around to the right. Push it through there. Grab that wire. Like I said, in concept, this should work, but we shall see. Let's wrap this other side too. Take that the other way. Now I can go ahead and snip these wires off, but make sure that I snip it within this frame here, not extending from the frame. See that? It's not sticking out outside of that frame. And I'm gonna do the other side like that as well. Let's go ahead and flatten that down a little bit. And I'll just continue to wrap around the wires. All right, so I've finished wrapping that end. Now I'm going to put it back on my jar, my candle jar, to get the shape of it. The candle jar is a bit wider than I would like it to be for the shape of this bracelet. So I'll just use something smaller. Maybe I'll use this spool here. Yeah, that's better. Like I said, 16 gauge would be perfect for this, but for the sake of this video, I've used 18 gauge wire. And there we are. All done. Thank you for joining me for another episode of From Fee to You. I hope you enjoyed this tutorial and learning along with me. So we'll see you again soon. Bye-bye for now.